Hello and welcome to Last Week in AWS. I'm Corey Quinn. Let's see what AWS has for us this week. ECR now supports image layers up to 200 gigabytes. That's right, 200 gigabytes in one layer because someone decided containers should be lightweight right up until that line of reasoning became politically uncomfortable for them. Cram your entire LLM in there and enjoy the pull times. Go get a snack, you'll need it. Plus ECR storage billing that scales exactly as you fear. Also, the CLI still caps at 50 gigs, so pick your uploader carefully. Good hustle, team. Lambda announces scalable network bandwidth up to 3,000 megabits per second for functions outside of VPC. At no additional charge, which is technically true if you ignore that reaching 3,000 megabits per second requires provisioning 10 gigabytes of memory for a function that needs 512. This is how vCPU scaling has worked since Lambda launched. The curious part that I don't understand is why unlocking this behavior requires making a service request. Unless there's a downside here, I don't understand why it's gated like that. Can someone who knows please hit reply to this thing and let me know? AWS Security Hub Extended adds supply chain security as its 10th category. The bill for this is going to be some customers' 13th reason. OpenAI, Jippity 5.6, Sol, Terra, and Luna now support 1 million token context windows on Bedrock. Sol, Terra, and Luna sound less like models and more like a Subaru dealership going through a spiritual phase, but that naming convention can't hold a candle to some of the nonsense AWS has pulled over the years. 1 million token means you can, as some do, shove an entire monorepo into a prompt, and also that you're paying for an entire monorepo in one prompt. The 90% cash discount exists because someone already did that math and screamed. The last I heard, they were still screaming. How to understand and estimate combined WAF and Shield advanced costs. A 2,000-word guide on estimating what your DDoS protection costs? Yeah, on that metric alone, the pricing is customer hostile, sucks, and should get fixed. But this is about to make it the customer's problem instead. My favorite detail, turning on Shield Advanced renames your WAF usage type in billing data, so every historical comparison you've built just breaks. $3,000 a month on a 1-year minimum, plus you get to play data transfer roulette. That this team has work to do. Will they do it? DynamoDB now supports real-time vector search at any scale. Every service can be misused as a database, and every database eventually gets a vector index bolted onto it, and also DynamoDB's number just came up. Trillions of vectors combined with pay-per-request pricing is something that should only be read within striking distance of a defibrillator. I confess I got slammed and have yet to model or build something horrifying with this yet, so I don't have many hot takes yet. This may change. Runtime instances, persistent compute for production AI agents on Bedrock Agent Core. 14-day sessions, GPU access, DirectOS control. Congratulations, we have reinvented the server, except now a language model decides how long it stays running. Hibernate Monday night, resume Wednesday morning, and find out your worker agent spent the interim iterating autonomously until the job is done. Welcome to a brave new world of paying for computers talking to themselves. Enforcing data residency with single-region Claude Code on Amazon Bedrock. AWS made an oftentimes customer-infuriating but ultimately correct choice at the beginning: hard separation between regions. Now, in their rush to present as leaders of AI, they've blended regions so thoroughly that running a relatively simple workload in a single region is now itself a dizzyingly complex undertaking. Great job. Reintroducing Network Firewall Proxy for secure egress connectivity. 8 months from preview to actually forget the standalone product. Customer feedback works, particularly when it's "this thing sucks," apparently. The catch is that this new proxy mode hangs off of a NAT gateway, the villain in every AWS billing story, so every inspected byte incurs a NAT data processing charge alongside the firewall's own. Your egress budget has somehow managed to unlock an even more expensive new hobby. AWS supports agent plugins, an open standard for portable agent extensions. I maintain that if telling the agent to install a given extension doesn't work, your agent blows and should be replaced with something good. Introducing Dogwood, runtime verification for AI agents. Cedar begat Dogwood, so AWS is now naming its policy languages after whatever's growing outside the Seattle office. Fine. I can't wait for resentment. Whatever's happening here is temporal logic, formal verification, a mathematical foundation, all deployed so your agent doesn't email a customer the confidential file it just opened. AWS partners with Anthropic and OpenAI to bring AWS Continuum into developer workflows. Continuum is a name that means nothing, which is convenient because it can therefore mean anything they ship at reInvent. The pitch is frontier models find vulnerabilities humans would need weeks to trace. The sequel is your backlog now contains 9,000 findings, all of them technically correct, but the nonsense drowns out the "oh, and by the way, your password is printed as the default placeholder text in the field." Preview pricing remains a mystery, which is its own kind of finding. Caching KMS data keys in multi-thread environments. Per-tenant encryption for event-driven systems at scale. A 77% KMS bill reduction with the fun caveat, this post assumes familiarity with envelope encryption. Pfft, who isn't? The lesson, 3 cents per 1,000 calls sounds adorable, right up until 400 threads stampede for the same tenant key at once. And even if rate limiting doesn't murder you, your bill will. Access S3 backup data directly using S3 access points in AWS Backup. Reading backup data without a restore is useful, which is why I'm squinting at the fine print that an active access point pauses lifecycle transitions and blocks deletion of the recovery point. I have questions. Well, just one really, but it's loud and obnoxious. Forget that thing exists and your backup sits in the pricier warm tier forever. Free to create, but expensive to abandon. And 12 AWS bulletins, which are mostly AI tooling. 12 bulletins in one batch. Most of these are AI tooling, relearning lessons we absorbed during the guestbook CGI era. Strands Agent Tools shows up 3 times unassisted. An insecure direct object reference that lets one agent page to another's memories. A consent gate defeated by text claiming consent already happened. And HTTP request trusting a model-chosen proxy that sent your credentials sightseeing in clear text. The MCP servers fared no better. Between bad authorization and DocumentDB's aggregation pipeline, path traversal in AWS Transform, and prompt injection coughing up broker credentials, and OAuth tokens out of Amazon MQ. Bedrock Agent Core drew a CVE for insufficient input validation, which is a strange complaint about a product whose whole pitch is handling arbitrary model output to your infrastructure. Kiro earned 2 for trusting executables in the project folder on Windows, a bug class that is older than most of the people listening to this. And the non-AI entries feel almost nostalgic. The AWS's CLI EMR helpers skipped host key verification on your behalf. The stand-up wheels spinner, which is their ops nonsense thing, turned stored XSS into session token theft, and deeply nested JSON kills Smithy RS servers via unauthenticated stack exhaustion in Rust, the language that was supposed to be the adult in the room, as everyone incessantly tells me. Rounding it out, a code injection fix that missed in Amplify's CodeGen UI React is back for a SQL CVE a year later, so patch all of it, and then sit wondering how hardening became give the text predictor a shell. And finally, from weeks to minutes, how Formula One uses agentic AI on AWS to accelerate data operations. Buried in that minutes headline is 40 minutes of code generation plus hours of deployment. Marketing rounded aggressively while also including the registered trademark symbol because we cannot upset legal. Also, a company with 800 million fans somehow accumulated an 18-month integration backlog before Bedrock showed up, which sounds an awful lot like a headcount problem turned into an AI story. And that's what happened last week in AWS. I'm Corey Quinn. Stick around.